Wonder where they're at. I'm getting hungry.
I don't know. They're usually here by now. Here comes old Tom.
Sean?
Hi, Mr. Evans.
Hi to you, Sean. Think you can fetch a mug of coffee to me at the bank?
Sure thing.
Tom, ain't you just a little bit late?
Morning, Sheriff. Henry?
Howdy. One thing I don't understand about money, Mr. Evans.
Now, what's that, Henry?
Why are new bills always so heavy?
Henry, old or new, 121,000 is a full sock. Kalimeko, still hanging around. 4 days now.
That's his right. He served his time.
But he swore to kill Mr. Bragan and Ben Cartwright. He's got Mr. Bragan so jumpy now, I think you ought to run him out of town, Sheriff.
Oh, come now, Tom. He made them threats a long time ago, and he's had 5 years in jail to simmer down. How's about getting that money inside the bank so I and the boys can go get some breakfast?
Oh. Thank you for your trouble, Sheriff.
Don't mention it. All right, boys, let's go over and get them victuals before they get cold.
Is that you, Sean?
Henry from Wells Fargo. Get up.
What are you doing?
Shut up. Open the vault.
No! No!
Mr. Evans? Help! Help somebody! Help! Inside! Help! Help!
Sean,
Help!
easy, son. What's the matter?
Mr. Evans is dead!
believe it. Where were you when this happened?
I was over at the hotel having my breakfast. But I was here when the Wells Fargo shipment arrived, and I stayed with Tom until he got it. The pouch is gone. We already looked for it.
Well, that's just fine. My cashier murdered, $121,000 stolen. You know, this is your fault, Roy.
Mine?
There isn't any doubt about who did it, is there? You remember what I said when Cully Mako rode into town? If I told you once, I told you
Sam,
75...
you told me, that's right, several times that you wanted Cully Mako locked up. But he'd broken no law.
What do you call this? And he swore to kill me and Ben. What are you gonna do? Wait till he does that too before you catch him and hang him? Now listen, Roy.
Sean, think clearly now. Did you see anybody around the bank when you come in here with a coffee?
No, sir. Nobody.
And was the door, was it open?
Kind of. It opened when I tried it.
Did Mr. Evans say anything?
No, sir. He just was all still and scary.
Then you just run for help.
As fast as I could.
Thanks, boy. You done the right thing. Now it's time you be getting home, because your ma's gonna be worried about you.
Wasted time. He should be out looking for Cully Mako. Roy's got deputies out looking for him. Deputies? What we need is a posse.
Sam, I'm going to organize 2 posses. I'll lead one, and I'm counting on Ben here to lead the other.
Oh. Yeah, sure, Roy. Well, Joe's in San Francisco. I'll have Hoss and Candy ride with us.
Good.
He won't tell nobody nothing. Hey, there's the sheriff. Sheriff, what's going on? He won't tell nobody nothing.
I'll tell you, boys, I'll tell you. The bank was robbed, and a man that we all respected, Tom Evans, was murdered.
First time in months I haven't met the Wells Fargo coach. Could have been me.
You see, I told you something was going on. Oh, look here, that's terrible. He's a good old boy. Hey, Sheriff. Sheriff, who done it?
We don't know for sure, but I want Cully Mako brought in for questions.
Cully Mako, I just seen he's been hanging around town here last
Now,
week.
man, I'm going to need 15 to 20 good posse men, armed and ready to ride. You bring bedrolls, my office will furnish the grub and the cooking gear.
How soon, Roy?
Just as soon as I can get these men sworn in. And you do solemnly swear, as authorized possemen, to uphold the laws of the state of Nevada and Story County?
Yeah, you bet we do.
Pick up your cartridges, men. Now we're going to split up. I'll ride south to stop Mako in case he's headed for the state line. And Ben Cartwright here will lead the rest of you men in a sweep over towards Sierra Pass. Any questions?
No, let's get going.
Get your rifles, men.
Got here just in time, boys.
You boys raise your right hands, I'll swear you in. You do solemnly swear, as authorized posse men, to uphold the laws of the state of Nevada and Story County?
I do.
Let's ride.
Spread out. Search that whole slope and the flat beyond. Anybody sights Mako, fire 3 shots.
Hey, look yonder. Hey, give me that mobile. Look like they got lost, huh?
Nothing?
Covered the flats and the Tules west of the river. Not a sign of Mako.
Mr. Cartwright won't wet your whistle a bit to warm you up. Sam, these horses look spent. We better backtrack about half a mile. Camp by spring there.
a glad welcome. Kevin? Ain't you gonna ask me in? Thank you. Your wife don't seem none too happy to see me.
She holds with the law, Cully. We both do.
Even against your own brother? You know, there was a time when I used to hold with the law, too.
Well, we'll take care of the horses.
Some more coffee?
Yeah.
Mr. Cartwright, do you really think Curly Mako intends to kill you?
I don't know. He said so.
Why is he after you?
Goes back a ways. Long before you came around. Cully stood trial for a bank robbery. Sam Bragan identified him as a robber. I was the foreman of the jury that convicted him.
How much time did he get?
5 years.
It's a big chunk out of any man's life. Who is Cully? Does he come from around here?
Oh, somewhere up north a bit. He's a trapper.
Well, I guess a trapper can hold up a bank as soon as anybody else.
Yeah, I guess so.
Bud, do I have to?
Go ahead, test it.
Bud,
Give
you
it
don't
a try.
get me
Try it on. Test it for Mako. Come on. Go ahead. Test it. Test it for Mako.
Come on, Bud.
Go ahead.
Buzz.
Here we go now.
Buzz!
Oh, yeah, Mr. Cartwright.
Get that man off that horse.
We're just practicing a little, Mr. Cartwright. We're getting ready when we catch up with old Cully, right, boys?
Buzz, this is not a lynch party.
Ben, Cully is wanted for robbery and murder. We may have trouble proving that in the court of law. And if we can't, he's sure gonna kill one or both of us. Easier to hang him, get it over.
Sam, that's not what we're here for.
Buzz, you heard Mr. Cartwright. Turn him loose.
Sure.
I'll be out at the pub.
Sure took good care of it.
That's the least I can do.
Well, I'm gonna take this. You can have these. I'm gonna need some shells, and I'm gonna need a carrying sack.
A 6-gun and a rifle. Now I got a shotgun.
And do me a little hunting.
If it was just fur you was after, Harriet and me wouldn't mind you staying.
Thanks.
Shotgun ain't much good except for a rabbit. Or men. Cully. The past is best forgotten.
That's what you always said, Kevin.
Something the matter, Paul?
I was just thinking. Cully Mako's brother testified at his trial. They worked the trap lines together. Now, when a man's on the run, he usually heads for the country he knows best.
And the people he knows best.
Yeah. His brother's place is just south of the Double Notch, just over the crest.
Come on.
Ma'am? You Mrs. Mako?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm Ben Cartwright. Is your husband around? I'd sure like to talk to him for a minute or two.
He's inside the house. You can go in.
Thank you, ma'am.
Come in.
Howdy. I'm Ben Cartwright.
I remember. You were the foreman on a jury.
Yeah. There's been some trouble in Virginia City, Mr. Mako. In fact, there's been a killing. And the sheriff would like to talk to your brother, ask him a few questions. Has he been around here?
Nobody here except me and my wife. I haven't seen Cully since the trial. You're welcome to look around if you like.
No, thank you. That won't be necessary. Sorry to trouble you. Excuse me, ma'am. Thank you. Two people live here, 3 plates on the table. He's been here and gone, but he hasn't got too much of a head start.
All right, Cartwright. You make one move and you're gonna be dead right now. Now get up slow. Turn around, face me. Come on. Now take your right hand and undo your belt buckle. Now drop it. Now you owe me, Cartwright. You know that.
We'll have another man on that jury, Cully.
You were the one that gave the word, though. You was the one that they listened to. You took 5 years of my life, mister. How old are you? I reckon if I was to shoot you down right now and take your life, we'd be just about even. Except maybe me a little bit more.
Stop it, Mako.
Now what?
We've been deputized to take you back into town, Cully.
For what?
Murder and robbery.
I didn't hear you name the person I was supposed to have killed.
Tom Evans.
The Tom Evans that works in Bragan's bank? Somebody shot him?
That's right. And robbed the bank. Where's your horse?
Over there.
Candy?
How much money was it I was supposed to stole this time?
$121,000.
Well, that's an important lot of money. That should make me an important man. I tell you what, let's do. Why don't you all go in my saddlebag here and get it out, and let's divide it up and make us a deal.
You figuring on waiting around and meeting that posse tonight?
Well, I guess we better ride straight into town. Be faster that way anyway.
You fellas trying to save time or trouble?
Go on, Cully, let's go.
Candy, you ride point.
Yeah.
You fellas sure are being mighty careful. I keep telling you I didn't do anything. Now, why are you taking me in?
Now, Cully, you're in town for 4 days. And the moment something happens, the moment there's a murder, the moment the bank is robbed, you disappear.
I threatened a man 5 years ago, Sam Bragan, 5 years ago. And then I spent 5 years behind walls, and I changed my mind about pulling the trigger. But he didn't know that. Sam Bragan didn't know that. So I come back to town and figure I'd sweat him a little bit. Walk down the street, look in the window of his bank, make him wonder a little bit, make him sweat. Now, that's mighty small revenge for the 5 years he stole from my life.
You keep talking about Sam Bragan stealing 5 years of your life. I stole 5 years of your life. Let me tell you something. Sam Bragan testified under oath in court that you were the fella in the bank.
Look, any man can put his hand on a book and still tell a lie.
Not Sam. He built that bank on a handshake.
Sure, he's your friend, so he can't tell a lie. Now, come on, he can make one mistake. One mistake.
Ain't a man alive hasn't made a mistake.
Who pays for yours?
I do.
And me. And me. Don't you forget that. I spent 5 years of my life paying for his mistake or lie.
They're up ahead, resting their horses.
Did they see you?
Afraid so.
Well, come on.
I see you got him.
Yeah, that's right, Sam. We'll just take him back to town.
Oh, wait a minute. What's the rush? We've got a few questions we want to ask Cully.
Yeah. We got a few questions we want to ask him. Yeah! Get away! Hey! Hold your fire! We'll get him! Look at him!
Trying to help you. Trying to get you back safe so you can have a fair trial.
You'll get a trial, but not the kind you mean.
What's got into you, Sam? This is not a court. We're not a judge or jury.
We're of Mako's peers, Ben.
Now, listen. We were deputized to do one thing. To find him, arrest him, and bring him into town. No more.
I'm sorry, Ben. That's the kind of thinking that got Tom Evans killed.
All right, get him up on the horse.
Let's go. Hey, wait a minute. Hold it. What's the matter with you? All of you. Would you all deputize same as Horse and Candy and me? Would you sworn to uphold the law?
We're hanging a guilty man. That's upholding the law, right?
Right, get him up there.
Who says he's guilty? It's cold-blooded murder. That's all it is, cold-blooded murder. And you'll all pay for it. Oh, yeah. Much more than Mako ever did. 10, 15 years in jail. You may even hang for it.
Now, don't listen to him. He's just trying to scare you out of it.
You bet I'm trying to scare you out of doing something stupid.
Bregan, I ain't gonna go to jail for nothing and nobody. I don't care.
I'm not going to jail.
Now, wait a minute. We took a vote. We said we were gonna hang Cully, and that's what we're gonna do.
Quit the talk and get it done now. Get Cully up there. Get going,
All right, you want to hang him?
Fine. Go right ahead. Sam, I think you ought to hear this. Before you hang Cully here, I think you ought to know that there's going to be an awful lot of shooting.
You're going to have to kill all three of us before you get to him. So you better get your guns out, all of you. Come on, get them out. Go ahead, pull the trigger. You too, Sam.
All right. We'll leave it to the jury, like last time.
Crowd out there's getting bigger and uglier by the second.
You just brought in a man accused of murder and bank robbery. Now, what do you expect? I never lost a prisoner yet, and I ain't about to start.
It seems like most folks out there feel like the same way we do. Hang Cully quick, get it over.
Ain't that too bad?
Good night, Ben.
Ben, I'm sending a telegraph to the circuit judge. He'll be here in a day or two.
I'm in no hurry.
Cully?
I've decided to have my lawyer defend you. He's in Carson City right now, but he'll be back in plenty of time. And you'll have a fair trial, I can tell you that.
Will I? Last time I stood trial in this town, I got 5 years for something I didn't even do, and that was just robbery. This time it's murder. You hear that crowd out there, and you know what kind of trial I'm going to get to. Thanks for saving my life so that they could hang me legal.
Paul?
Yeah, I feel fine.
Well, you turned down the ham, the hot cakes, biscuits. That's the second time you sugared your coffee. I figured maybe something was wrong.
Two robberies. $40,000, $121,000. And all that money just disappears.
You know what the folks around town are saying about Mako, that he stashed that money off someplace.
Do you believe that?
No.
Why not?
Well, it just don't make sense. Now, if a man robbed a bank once, got off $40,000, stashed it away, got caught, went off to jail, did his time, come back, he'd get that money and go off someplace where he could enjoy it. But to come back and rob the same bank again and make double trouble for himself, it just For some reason, it just don't make sense. That's the third time you've sugared that coffee, Paul.
It's not only the missing money that bothers me. That theory about revenge. That doesn't hold water either. Cully Mako had me dead in his sights. He could have pulled the trigger any minute. And he didn't.
Well, you know, he hung around Virginia City for 4 days. That gave him plenty of opportunity to gun down Sam Bragan if he wanted to, didn't it?
Yeah, there's another thing. Sam Bragan. Now, why would a decent, law-abiding man like Sam Bragan suddenly turn pure savage?
Well, you know, Paul, he and Tom Evans were good friends.
I know, but he was so anxious to see Cully hang, lynched, no trial, nothing, just...
Yeah.
You think Cully's right?
About what?
About it being impossible for him to get a fair trial here in Virginia City?
Well, I wouldn't bet on that, would you?
I sent the wire, Mr. Curry.
Oh, good. Have some breakfast, Candy.
Yeah, there was plenty left. All Paul had was a little coffee with his cup of sugar.
Abby? Did the sheriff say anything about when the circuit judge might be arriving?
He'll be here tomorrow.
Yeah, they're in a big rush, ain't they?
Well, if you ask me, the verdict's in already anyway. That town's in a hanging mood. Bragan, Buzz, Grifty, the other men in that posse, they're going to do everything they can to keep it that way.
What are we going to do, Paul?
Well, right now, I'm going to do this month's bookkeeping. And this afternoon, I think I'll ride into Virginia City and see if the answer to that telegram Candy sent is waiting for me.
I changed my mind. I think I'll have a cup of that sugar.
I hope there's some left.
About that. Is that right?
No.
All right.
Only difference in here and out on the trail. Now we're going to do it all legal.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind pulling on that rope myself.
One other difference.
How's that?
Even Mr. Cartwright can't object.
Oh, no.
Mr. Cartwright, you spoke up a lot out there on the trail. How come you ain't speaking up in here?
Out in the trail, Cully Mako's safety was my responsibility. Right now, his future's in the hands of the court.
And a jury. Let's not forget about the jury. Our jury, and it's all nice and legal.
Future, huh? A real short future.
Bo, Cully's gonna dance himself a little old jig. The only trouble is he ain't gonna have nothing to stand on but air.
Ben? Been waiting for you. Boys are really talking it up.
These things are like grass fires. They get real hot and they go right out.
Not always in time. This crowd's whiskey fed. I wonder who's buying the bottles.
I believe I could make a good guess.
I believe I could, too.
Carson stage. Hey there, more than an hour late.
Whoa.
Mr. Snell?
Oh, yes. James Snell.
Yes, I'm Ben Cartwright. This is Sheriff Coffey.
Now I do.
Oh, that's my bad.
This way.
I'm sorry, sir. We're closed.
Oh, I wanted to talk to Mr. Bragan.
That's all right, Phillips. We've always got time for Ben Cartwright.
Thank you.
Ben, glad you came in. I owe you an apology. If you hadn't come in today, I was going to ride out to the Ponderosa. Thank you for not letting me make a fool of myself.
No thanks necessary.
On the contrary, if it hadn't been for you, Cully Mako would be dead now. And a large share of the blame would be mine. Sit down, Ben, please. See, Tom Evans was my close friend. Worked for me for many years. The brutality, the way he was killed. And it shook me deeply. But even that's no excuse, Ben. I'm sincerely glad you stopped the lynching. And I'm glad that Cully's going to stand trial in a court of law.
Well, I'm happy to hear you say that, Sam. I need your help making sure that it's really a fair trial.
Excuse me, Mr. Bragan. Will there be anything else?
No. That'll be all, Wes. I'll take care of the vault. Excuse me, man.
See you in the morning.
Right, take it easy. Now, how can I help, Ben?
Well, you can help by trying to quiet a lot of this wild talk that's whipped this town into an uproar.
Buzz and grifty.
Yeah.
Yes, I've heard some of that. I'll do everything I can.
Thank you. Well, murder trial or no murder trial, you know, life still goes on. I've had a timber deal on the fire that came to a boil today.
Buying and selling?
Buying, $20,000 tract.
Oh, that's no problem. The Ponderosa account is certainly...
Well, I appreciate that, but the point is the fellow I'm buying it from, well, he's an old gentleman, and he wants to see the cash in his hand, you know. So I made out a check. You just cash that.
Oh, sure, I'd be glad to. You just endorse it?
Yeah.
I never will understand how some of these old codgers still don't believe in banks. Oh, thought I'd lost you. There we are.
I'll just look these over first.
You mean count it?
I'm sure all the money is here. I want to check something else.
What's that list you have there?
These are the serial numbers of those bills in that $121,000 Wells Fargo shipment.
That money was stolen.
I know.
Ben, you can't think that that money could be in my vault. Unless you think that I... Now, if it didn't hurt so much to know that you think I could be a thief and a killer, this would be very funny indeed.
And those stolen bills were never found.
So you think they're in my vault? You believe Cully and suspect me. Ben, I'm amazed.
My turn to apologize.
I'll give you back your own words. No apology necessary. You only did what you thought you had to. No compliment to me, but I understand. At least you waited until after closing hours. I thank you for that.
Good afternoon, Mr. Bragan.
Good afternoon.
I think you know Mr. Snell, Chief Bank Examiner for the state of Nevada.
Yes, of course, but
I've asked Mr. Snell to examine the money in the vault and your books. As one of this bank's chief depositors, I've asked for a special audit.
Well, I'll say one thing for you, Ben. When you get hold of an idea, you hang on like a bulldog. My pleasure, sir. Step this way.
Certainly.
Oh, Mr. Snell, I'm really going to enjoy this. Because when you're through, Ben Cartwright is going to have to buy me the finest bottle of brandy in Virginia City. I assume you'd like to check the cash first, if you please. Right this way. After you, sir. You win. And you lose.
Sam, I know you're not going to get away with this.
Never mind that. Unbuckle your gun belt.
Come on, hurry up.
Give it to me right up here. Now take the money. Put it on the counter. Move away. Need this 20,000. All right, Ben, you're coming with me. Into the street and out of town. And if anybody should ask, we're going to the Ponderosa for dinner and a little chess. Now move. Come on, move. Now lock the door. Now out. Come on, Ben, move. Hold it right there. Close the door. Turn left, up the street. Come on, move. Hold it. Get rid of him.
Wait for me inside, Hoss. Inside?
Right, turn around. Back up the street. Come on. All right. Cross the street. Come on, move. I had to do it, Ben. I didn't know where to turn. I had shares in all the wrong mines. I kept losing. I didn't know how to cover up anymore. And I had to protect the depositors. You too, Ben. Ben, please, I don't want to die. Please, I don't want to die. Ben, please.
Mako, I believe the state will be glad to make restitution of some kind for them 5 years, possibly in the form of a cash award.
Yes. I'm not without influence in the state capitol, and I shall do whatever I can to help.
Thank you. Man can always use money.
There's your shotgun.
Thank you.
And your rifle.
Very good. Well, Mr. Cartwright, I'll be seeing you. You believed what Bragan said on the witness stand under oath. I can't fault you for that. You were sure there when I needed you. Would you do me one favor, though? Don't sit on any more juries. Gentlemen?
Prisoner will rise. You've been convicted by a jury of your peers of the murder of a Ponderosa cowhand, name of Walter Finn Harrell, which he come to town to play a friendly game of stud poker and wound up getting himself killed. It is therefore considered and ordered by this court that you, Isham Troxell, shall suffer the punishment of death by hanging in the week commencing Sunday, September 6th, the year of our Lord, 1868, and may God have mercy on your miserable soul.
Your Honor, my brother's
And let
being
that be a lesson to any other scissor bill which they get caught with an ace up their sleeve and try to shoot their way out of it.
Your Honor!
Court's adjourned.
I demand a hearing.
Don't worry, guys. He ain't gonna get away with this.
Judge?
Ben, boys.
Judge, away. When are you coming out to visit us again?
Not soon. Socializing after a hanging case ain't quite seemly for a man in public office, but I thank you kindly.
I want a word with you, sir.
Case is closed.
If my brother dies because of that preposterous sentence of yours, you'll die too. Just as sure as my name is Cato Troxell.
You're a bigger fool than I thought you was, Troxell. Make a threat like that in front of all these witnesses?
I mean it, sir.
Then it'll be Troxell and Troxell on Boot Hill, instead of in that new law office across the street.
If my brother hangs, I'll kill you. And I won't end up on Boot Hill.
I'm going to let that last remark go by for two reasons. First, your blood brother just got sentenced to hang, which it would naturally lather you up a mite. Second, because it's 12 o'clock noon, and it's time for me to go home and eat my dinner. Fried chicken, northern style.
Hey, you know, I think there's something wrong with me. I really do. I really do. Look, here I am. I'm a young man. I got a little money in the bank. I gotta want to go someplace, see something different.
Like where?
Like where? I don't know. Back east. Got all the places I can go. St. Louis, Kansas City, Cincinnati.
Cincinnati? Why would you want to go to Cincinnati?
I don't want to go to Cincinnati. That's what I think is the matter with me. I ought to want to go to Cincinnati, but I like it here.
Sometimes, Joe, ain't no way of figuring that mind of yours.
I know what you mean. That's bothering me, too.
You're looking for something different. Maybe Cullen right over there.
Howdy, are you Mr. Ben Cartwright?
That's right.
It's him. I should have known. They said you was a bossy-looking galoot. With two sons, one fat and one pretty.
Yes, that seems to be a pretty fair description. This here's Hoss, the fat one. And this here's the purty one, Joe. And who are you?
I'm George, and that there's my Uncle Enos.
Enos Blessing, at your service, sir.
Well, Mr. Blessing.
How do you do, sir? I am here to remind you of your mortality. Someday, a stone like this is going to mark your final resting place.
Well, there's a happy subject just before supper.
Sad, ain't it, mister? But one of these days, them boys are going to have to buy you a stone just like that one.
Now, don't you believe it, Pa. We'd never let you down like
We've
that.
got a more expensive
No, we'll get a
one than
great
that,
big granite thing.
Paul, we're going to buy you an expensive one. I mean, a great big one. We're going to put it your name on. It's going to say Ben Cartwright of the Ponderosa.
Thank you very much. Boys, it's really very touching your concern for me, but I feel rather hale and hearty at the moment. I don't think I can use one of those just yet.
Ah, exactly. What could a cold stone say of this handsome gentleman? Could it speak of his warm smile, of his upright character, of his manly appearance? Certainly not. What he needs is a different kind of memorial.
You know, you're right. You're absolutely right, and he's got one. His fine sons, we will be his memorial.
Hey, yeah, that's right, boy. Don't you forget it.
Yes, indeed, boys, you certainly will be. But what kind of different memorial were you thinking of?
Well, I was thinking, sir, of a photograph.
Ah, a photograph? Oh, like a tintype, only it's, that's a new process, isn't it?
Quite right, sir. A veritable likeness, produced by the chemical action of light, on paper sensitized by the mysterious properties of precious metal to reproduce his very image. George? George? The samples.
Oh. Is George...
George is my niece.
Oh. Is that where you do your work in that contraption?
Yes, sir. That is my traveling portable darkroom. I have just opened a new studio in Virginia City.
Have you?
Enos Blessing, portraits in silver. The samples, George, if you please.
You should do very well there.
Thank you, sir. May I show you some of my work? Vice President of the Union Pacific.
Hmm.
Ship captain.
Mm-hmm.
Sheriff.
Very good.
Oh, how did this get in here, George? The horse thief.
Horse thief.
Hey, you know, Paul, they're pretty fancy. You know what we could do? We could frame you and hang you right up over the fireplace.
Yeah, well, what you should ought to do is get one taken of each of you, and then you could hang them all up together.
Exactly. A father and his sons. What an inspiring subject. I could do it right here, right in front of the house. Ah, as a matter of fact, I can even throw in a group picture of all your ranch hands.
Hey, you know the fellows that like that?
Yeah. Oh, right now, I mean, it's supper time.
No, that would be tomorrow, when the light's a little better. That is, if you could bed me down for the night.
I think we'll do it, Paul.
I'm all for it.
That'd be a bad idea. Certainly, of course, we can put you up in the bunkhouse and we have a spare room for your niece.
No, thank you. George has to go back to town for some supplies. Come here.
These are nice, aren't they?
I want that new hypo. It's back at the studio.
We have plenty of...
I want the new hypo. And listen, when you get into town, I want you to find Mr. Cato Troxel and tell him I'll be making the Cartwright pictures at noon tomorrow. You understand?
No, why do you...
Never mind why. Just do it. And be back here early tomorrow morning. Yeah? Come on.
Oh, yes, sir.
I'm just waiting for Mr. Hoss.
Which horse? Can't you hurry up, horse?
Oh, well, we can't hurry this, Mr. Cartwright. This is going to take all morning.
All morning?
Yeah, well, this is a complicated chemical process. I have to prepare every one of these plates in the darkroom before I can expose them.
What took you so long?
Well, I figured we were going to get our picture took. I didn't want to look like no saddle tramp, so I've been in there duding up.
Now, get in post, George.
Just loosen up now, Mr. Hoss. You're stiffer than a hard-shelled deacon. All of you.
A whole sight better off to have settled with that tombstone, I'll tell you that.
All right, now. Now, look this way, everybody. I want you to watch Georgie. That's fine. Now, smile. Hold it. Now, take a deep breath. Now, that's fine. Now, hold it. And smile. Now, very dignified, Mr. Cartwright. That's fine. Now, hold it. Now, watch the birdie, Mr. Hoss.
Beep, 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 beep.
That's fine. Hold it. All right, now, smile. That's fine. Now, hold that.
What's so funny? What's so funny? You think it's funny I got my picture taken? You're gonna get your picture taken now.
No, just a moment. Mr. Cartwright, you're forgetting. I promised a picture of you and your whole bunch. All the cowboys and all the visitors, everybody. Complimentary, no charge.
Oh, that's a good deal if I ever heard one.
Well, why not? We've wasted the whole morning anyway.
All right, now, everybody, line up over there. Get over. Come on, let's get on. Come on now. There we are. All set now? All right, now, everybody freeze now. And smile a little. Oh, that's just fine.
Miss Neely, I'm here.
I made you a promise, sir. I'm here to keep it.
I'll make you one. You pull that trigger, you'll hang higher than your brother did.
Don't he low pretty, Uncle Enos?
Huh?
Julie, his gait's so smooth. I wished I could sit somewhere and watch me ride him. What you looking at?
This landscape here. Just look at those hills. The first chance I get, I'm coming back out here and make some pictures of them. You know how bad I can sell those pictures to a magazine back east?
Hey, here comes Mr. Troxel.
Oh! Georgie, maybe you better take a little ride somewhere. I want to talk to Mr. Troxel private.
You make them?
Yeah?
The group photograph, too?
Yeah?
Do you have the plate prepared?
Certainly.
All right, get out your camera.
Not before I see the color of your money.
Here you are. You can count it later. Well, I guess I'll be arrested as soon as I ride into town.
Yeah?
There'll be a coroner's hearing in the morning.
That's enough. I don't want to hear about it. I don't know how I get in this in the first place.
Well, you got into it on account of Georgie, Enos. That was a very unselfish thing for you to do. But all I care about is, will it be ready in the morning?
It'll be ready.
It better be.
It'll be ready. Now, you just get in front of the camera.
All right.
No. That's too close. You'll have to go back about 5, 6 feet. Right there, that's fine. Now turn around, face me. We got it. Yeah, now don't move. All right, now hold still. Ready?
Sure do like them Cartwrights. What'd you want to talk to me about, Uncle Enos?
You just give me a little time. I'll get around to it.
Sure do like that little Joe. He's as handsome as a new steamboat. Didn't you think so?
He sure is handsome. I saw you gawking at him.
He didn't see me gawking at him, did he?
That's not the point. The point is, was he gawking at you?
Oh, no.
Of course not. He thought you was a boy. Just look at yourself. When did you wash your face last?
Forget.
Exactly. Well, you're all through being a tomboy. You're going to a female academy back east to learn how to be a lady.
Oh, that old subject again. How can I go to a female academy? Them places cost big money.
I got big money. Here. Well, go on, open it.
$20 gold pieces.
50 of them. $1,000.
Where'd you get all this?
Well, you might say it's my life savings.
Oh, Uncle Enos, I don't want to go to no female academy. I want to stay here with you.
Well, you can't stay here with me. You're going back east to school, to Illinois or Missouri.
I don't want to be a lady.
That's final.
I'll join a medicine show. I'll become a saloon girl. I'll marry a gambler.
You can marry a Paiute if you want to, but not until you're a lady.
Who's going to help you pose your pictures and work with you in the dark room and poach your eggs the way you like them?
I'll poach my own eggs.
Then you did not hear the shot, Mrs. Neely?
Might have, might not. I was cooking, using pine knots to get a hot fire, and everything was popping and snapping.
Well, just one more question, Mrs. Neely. What time would you say it was when you discovered the body of your husband?
Well, I can't say exactly, Doc, but I think I can come to it through my fried chicken. I always give my chicken a good 40 to 45 minutes. Put it on about 11:30. Of course, he joins his court right at noon. Then it takes him 10 minutes to come home, feed his horse. Then he washes up and sits down at 15:15. I mean, he used to. Anyway, my chicken was just about done when I heard him come riding up. And he didn't come in, and he didn't come in, and so I went out to see what was keeping him, and there he was. Fried chicken was his favorite.
Then you would say that he was shot a few minutes after 12 o'clock noon?
Yes, sir.
That's all, Mrs. Neely. Thank you. Ben Cartwright, will you take the stand, please? You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Be seated. On Tuesday, September 1st, did you overhear a conversation between Judge Neely and Cato Troxel?
Yes, sir, I did.
Would you like to tell us about it?
Happened right over there. I heard Cato Troxel threaten Judge Neely. Said that if his brother was hanged, he'd kill Judge Neely.
Thank you. That's all, Ben. Thank you.
Just a minute. Acting as my own attorney, I'd like to ask the witness a few questions, if I may.
I guess it's your right.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Cartwright, yesterday a man named Enos Blesson came to your ranch and took a group photograph of you, your cowhands, and all your visitors?
That's right.
At what time was that group photograph taken?
About a little after 12 noon, I guess.
Well, then, anybody who was at the Ponderosa at the time that group photograph was taken couldn't possibly have shot Judge Neely, huh?
Well, no.
Don't you remember seeing me there at 12 noon or a little thereafter?
I certainly did not.
Well, you were facing the camera at the time the photograph was taken. All your visitors were lined up behind you.
Yes?
Well, then I could have been there and you mightn't have seen me.
Well, why would you want to come to the Ponderosa?
I came to make you an offer on your Lake Tahoe property.
Mr. Coroner, he didn't make me any offer on any Lake Tahoe property.
Well, you were so busy, I thought it better to come back another day.
No, sir, he didn't make any...
Thank you, sir. That'll be all. Mr. Coroner, may I testify in my own behalf?
That'll be all, Mr. Cartwright. You may take the stand now, Mr. Troxel. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do. Gentlemen, I'd like to make a statement for the record. Yesterday, at a few minutes after 12 noon, I was at the Ponderosa when that group photograph was made. And the photograph will prove it.
You were in the photograph?
I was. Consequently, I couldn't have been in Judge Neely's stable at the same time.
Where is this photograph now?
Well, I don't rightly know. I suppose Mr. Blesson has it.
Didn't see me in any photograph.
This hearing is adjourned to the photographer's place. The jury, the witnesses, and the prisoner will come along with me.
Weren't you going to get your pony shod today?
Yeah.
Well, go on and do it.
Does it have to be in that slab-sided east? Ain't there no female academies in this whole big eagle spreading west?
No. And go tend to your pony. Right now. Yeah, yes, sir?
I'm Dr. Martin, county coroner. We're holding a hearing in the death of Judge Neely.
Oh, yes, sir. I heard about that.
Would it be all right if I bring my jury in, please?
Oh, of course.
Thank you. You may come in, gentlemen. Now, did you take some photographs yesterday at the Ponderosa?
Yes, sir, I did.
I'd like you to produce them for the inspection of the jury, please.
Oh, well, now, those are the property of Mr. Cartwright.
Oh, Mr. Blessing, I wish you would produce those photographs.
Yes,
sir. The one you made about noon yesterday, the big group photograph.
Yes. Ah, here it is.
call, sir.
Oh, you're in it, all right. Gentlemen of the jury, looks like our verdict is clear. Death at the hands of an unknown party.
Well, I guess you won't be needing me any further.
No.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Cartwright, for furnishing me with an alibi. Good day, gentlemen.
I wish we'd never seen that photographer. Gave Troxel a perfect alibi.
Well, if Troxel's innocent, Joe, I'm glad we did see the photographer. I'd hate to see an innocent man hanged.
Well, I say he's guilty.
Well, Joe, there he is, right there in the picture.
Did you show the picture to all the hands?
Yes, of course I did. Nobody remembers seeing him there.
Well, look, what about the men in the back from the Double H? Maybe we went over and talked to them. Maybe they know something.
Joe, what good's that going to do? If he's here, he is here, and he's there in the picture.
All right, so he was here. Wait a minute. Suppose Judge Neely's wife made a mistake about the time he came home. Look, she testified she was in the kitchen. There was a lot of noise. She couldn't hear anything. Suppose he got home at 11:30 instead of 12:15. He'd had plenty of time to ride back out of here.
Joseph, everybody knows that Judge Neely was a man of habit. He was punctual. At 12 o'clock sharp, he shut his court. At 12:15, he was home having lunch. At 1:30, he opened up court again. People set the clock by him.
There's got to be something. All right, he was here. All right, he was here on the Ponderosa when the picture was taken. Suppose he didn't kill the judge. Suppose he hired somebody to kill him. Troxel's got plenty of money. There's plenty of guns for hire in Virginia City.
All right, what are you going to do? You're going to go around to everybody who wears a gun and say, did Cato Troxel hire you to kill Judge Neely? Is that what you're going to do?
No, I'm going to go talk to Cato Troxel.
Oh. And what's he going to tell you he didn't tell the coroner's jury?
Oh, maybe the coroner went about it the wrong way. I guarantee you I can make him talk.
Oh, can you? How, with your fists?
Yes, if I have to.
Oh, very good. By all means, use your fists. Why don't you try using your head sometime? You might eventually get someplace.
Well, go on, start swinging. Haven't seen a good fight in weeks.
You're not going to see one now either.
We're having a family talk. Is that any of your business?
No, not at all.
Well, then why don't you stay out of it? Go take a ride or something.
Joe.
You mean you're not extending the famous Cartwright hospitality? All right. The boys said the picture was here. I'll just have a look at that and leave. Well, go on with your family discussion. Were the boys resisting one of your fatherly lectures, Mr. Cartwright?
I'm not in the habit of giving fatherly lectures. And if I do, it's possibly because they're needed. Might have been a good idea if your father had given you a few.
Oh, he did?
Well, obviously, they didn't have much effect.
Oh, yes, he did. I left home. I can understand how Troxel got into the picture, but I can't understand how he got this shadow on the side of his face.
What are you talking about?
Well, you got a funny kind of sun at the Ponderosa because it casts shadows in two different directions at once.
Well, that's kind of impossible, isn't it?
I don't want to give any fatherly lectures. But that's a shadow, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And do you see shadows in anybody else's face?
It's funny, isn't it?
You think that's funny? You should have seen what happened to me in St. Louis once. Young fellow was doing a couple of tintypes of me. He was new in the business. He got mixed up, and he put both pictures on the same picture. And I came out looking like twins.
What's that got to do with Cato?
I didn't say it had anything to do with Cato, but just thought I'd throw it into the general pot of interesting information.
Can you said this fellow made two pictures of you on the same picture.
Same picture. Call it a double exposure.
If a photographer can make two pictures on the one picture by mistake, why couldn't he do the same thing on purpose? Couldn't Troxell have got Mr. Blessing to make this double exposure, putting Troxell in this picture without Troxell having been here in the first place?
I think somebody better go have a nice talk with Troxell, ask him some questions.
No, not yet, not yet.
What are we gonna do?
Well, just let me think for just a minute, will you? Now, if this is a photographic trick, and there are two people involved in this murder, Mr. Troxell and the photographer. Now, let's take Mr. Troxell. He's got a legal mind. Huh? He thinks things through very carefully. He'd be prepared for almost any eventuality. Our photographer friend, Mr. Blessing, he's a different kind of man. I think he could be persuaded to help us out.
Pa, what are we waiting for?
For me to finish this lecture and for you to get the horses ready. Now, let's get.
Me and Candy will wait for you at the saloon, Paul.
Now, George?
Oh, howdy. Can I help you?
Well, I was looking for your Uncle Enos. Is he around?
Oh, no, sir. He's out on the Carson City cutoff making some pictures.
Ah. He sure makes some good pictures, doesn't he?
He sure does. Had to put that one up because everyone was coming in and asking to see it.
Yeah. Tell you what, George. George?
Huh?
George, you tell your Uncle Enos I'd like to have one of these for every single person in it.
I sure will. I'll tell him the minute he comes back.
Yeah, you know, the hands were all real pleased with the picture because it turned out so good. You know, we had one fellow had a picture taken in St. Louis. It was terrible. Funny, he had two heads and everything.
The double exposure. Must have been a beginner. Uncle Enos doesn't make mistakes like that.
We'd better be getting along. Tell your Uncle Enos we were to see him. We'll see him again.
Sure will.
Bye.
See you, George.
Well, Enos is out in the country. I sure want to see him. Horace, why don't we go over to the courthouse, finish up that business of ours? Candy, I'd like you to stay here. Keep an eye out. As soon as you see Enos come back,
right,
get us.
Right.
Hello.
Howdy.
I thought I saw Ben Cartwright come in here. I want to talk to him.
Come and gone, Mr. Troxell.
Oh, well, whatever he wanted, it didn't take him long, huh?
Oh, no. He came and bought a whole bunch of them group pictures.
Oh?
Yeah. Oh, they think a lot of Uncle Enos's work. Probably because one of their hands had a picture taken by a beginner, and they got a double exposure.
Whatever that is. Well, thank you.
Sure.
what you're bumping into.
Let me go, Roscoe.
How did you know my name? How did you know my name? Let me... Candy, my old friend Candy. How you been, Candy?
I'm in a hurry, Roscoe.
Candy, I want your unvarnished opinion of me.
You're an upstanding citizen, Roscoe. Now I gotta go.
Thank you, Candy. There's a little apple knocker in there that says I am a big fat liverwurst. He's drunk. He's belligerent and he wants to fight.
You go ahead and fight him, and let me go.
Candy.
I'm sorry.
Why is everybody so unfriendly?
Jumps Candy in a big hurry.
Well, after you left, Troxel came out and went in the photographer's place. When he came back out, he mounted up and rode off south.
South? That'd be the Carson City Club. That's where Enos is. Well, let's go.
I'll get my horse and catch you.
Candy, old buddy, where have you been? I've been waiting for you.
Let's go.
I'll tell you what I'll do. If you whip this little old stinker for me, we'll go get a bottle of booze and a couple of girls, and we'll have a time.
Sorry, Roscoe. It's gonna have to be later.
You know, for an upstanding citizen, I'm down more than I'm up lately.
What are you doing here?
I came to warn you about the Cartwrights. They're after you about Judge Neely.
How do you know? What happened?
Well, they went to your studio looking for you.
You mean they were looking for you, don't you? You're the one who pulled the trigger, not me.
Now, you know there are only two people who know that. You and I. And that puts me in a very unfortunate position.
Why?
Well, they're going to want you to talk, and you probably will.
Oh, now, you know I won't talk.
I wish I could believe that.
Now, but, why would I talk?
Because you're a born loser, Enos. It's an old adage. Never trust a loser.
No.
Now you're a dead loser.
Cato Troxel killed Mr. Blessing the same as the judge, and I'll stake my life on it.
But, Joe, I can't arrest a man without evidence, and there ain't a shred. You heard the verdict. Death at the hand of a person or persons unknown. Motive, robbery. And Enos had 1,000 in gold on him.
You're absolutely right. We heard George testify to that.
And were there any clues at all, Sheriff? None?
Listen, I haven't had any sleep in 3 days. If any of you think you can do better, put on a star.
Now, Milo, nobody's criticizing you.
Well, I'm doing the best I can, and that's all I can do.
Of course, we understand.
How did Mr. Blessing's niece hold up at the funeral?
Oh, as well as could be expected, I guess, under the circumstances.
She certainly did. A fine young girl, and it's about time I went to call on her. Milo, you get yourself a good sleep now. You're not the first peace officer who's had an unsolved murder in his hands.
See you, Milo.
Oh, you want us to go with you?
No, I'll go by myself. See you back at the ranch.
Right.
Hello? Anybody here?
Just a minute.
Hello, George. Now. Come on now. You gotta be a brave young woman.
Try. I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna keep the studio and follow in Uncle Enos's footsteps.
That sounds like a very interesting idea. Didn't Uncle Enos say something about him wanting you to go to a female academy, though?
Oh, I ain't got the money for a female academy. I want to be a female photographer. The first one this side of the Rockies.
Well, it's a very laudable ambition. You think you could do it?
Sure I can. Come on, I'll show you. I'm making some friends. Here, give me your hand. It's awful dark in here. I've been working with Uncle Enos for about a year. I can pose the pictures. You've seen me do that. And I can work the camera. I've done it lots of times. And I've been helping him in the dark room, and, well, I think I can do it.
What's that you're working on?
These are the pictures Uncle Enos took that last day. He thought maybe he could sell them to a magazine. So I thought if they turn out, well, maybe I can sell them.
Sure, why not? Good idea. Maybe I can help you.
Oh, would you? Could you write a letter for me? I can't write very well.
Of course, I'd be glad to.
Thanks. Mr. Cartwright, does the sheriff have any idea who done it?
No. Not a one.
That's awful. That's just awful. And a man can do something like that and get away with it. Oh, look. They're coming out. Look! Look!
Get out.
You're not being very friendly. I came by to see if you might be interested in buying one of my Lake Tahoe properties.
I have no further interest in your Lake Tahoe property.
What are your interests, Mr. Troxell?
Chiefly getting you off my back. You're becoming a nuisance, Cartwright. You're libeling my reputation, besmirching my character, and damaging my legal practice. I want it stopped. If it isn't, I'm going to take you to court.
You know, I think that might be the last place I'd want to be if I were under suspicion of murder.
Now, if you're referring to the murder of Enos Blessing, there isn't a way in the world you can connect me with that crime. And if you mean Judge Neely, I've been exonerated by photographic evidence. And photographs don't lie.
Yes, you're right. Photographs don't lie. I must agree with you. That's why I thought you might be interested in this photograph.
One photograph exonerates me of murder. The other one convicts me. Old Marcus would have scorned me.
Marcus?
Marcus Porcius Cato, the noble Roman I was named for. Cato the censor, the enemy of crime and corruption. Cato, the very model of every Roman virtue.
Just like the judge predicted. Troxel and Troxel. On Boot Hill.
You ride oldie once in a while, you hear? I don't want him to get rusty in the hinges.
I'll ride him, Georgie.
You? I don't want to come back here and find him swaybacked.
All aboard, George.
Thanks for everything, Mr. Cartwright.
You right now.
Hey, don't forget. Promise to come see us on your vacation.
Well, I hope you all recognize me. I'll be as ladylike as a hog on ice.
Don't burn that steer.
Marcus Alley.
Changing a bar V brand into a box W.
No, I found that here. Look, you can ask Arch Hollenbeck. He'll tell you who I am.
Oh, I know who you are. You're a thieving cattle rustler.
No, I ain't. Look, just as I got in, somebody rode out fast. Honest.
That's too bad. Now there ain't anybody here to back up your story.
Hollenbeck's one of the men who hired you, Mr. Alley. You can ask him. He'll tell you who I am. Or Ben Cartwright. You ask him.
I don't have to ask anybody anything. That running iron, this hog-tied steer tells me everything I have to know. You see,
Cattlemen's Association doesn't pay me to ask questions. Cattlemen's Association pays me to stop rustling. That's exactly what I'm gonna do. My own way. Now you can go for your gun.
I don't want to go for my gun.
You don't understand, mister. You don't have a choice.
RV steer, a running iron, and a fire.
Well, a combination like that's got to add up to rustling.
No, wait a minute. Wells was one of my hands. He had every right to be here.
With a running iron?
Well, I admit that looks bad, but maybe there's some explanation.
Oh, he had an explanation. He said he came across the fire, the running iron, and the steer by accident. I didn't want to kill him. He went for his gun. Mr. Hollenbeck, I know how you feel.
You said you surprised him. Why didn't you just hold your gun on him and take his away from him?
You should have brought him in, Allie.
He would have talked to me, Allie.
Gentlemen, I didn't have no choice. Unless you figure that I should have let him get off the first shot.
Gentlemen, what I'm saying is that I believe that the man that you hired as range detective and the man that I deputized is telling the truth. Now, if the Wells story is correct, there'd be another set of tracks coming into the fire and going out. And there wasn't any.
Just shows you how wrong you can be. I'd have sworn Wells was an honest man.
That seems to wrap it up, Roy. But much obliged.
All right, man. See you later, boy.
Well, Roy, Allie is waiting outside. Would you ask him to step in, please?
I sure will.
Thank you.
Why do we have to see Allie again, Ben? He's not on trial, and we're no jury.
Well, there's been some question about the way he's been doing his job, and since we're his employers, I think we should tell him our investigation proves that his report is completely accurate.
Well, I'm going on record as being dead set against everything that he's done in this case.
Well, Mr. Alley, would you sit down, please? We wanted you to know, Mr. Alley, that the sheriff has corroborated the report that you made to us.
Allie, the association is satisfied that you shot in self-defense.
The association also wants to impress on you, Mr. Alley, that the next rustler you catch, you bring in alive.
Well, I'll agree to that if the association can guarantee that the man won't draw on me.
Nobody's expecting you to let yourself get shot. We just want to be sure that there's
You just want to be sure that there's no more surprises.
And what's that supposed to mean?
Like finding out who's really stealing your cattle?
I think perhaps you'd better explain that remark.
I'll be glad to. The men that are stealing your cattle are on your payroll. That's right, on your payroll, Mr. Cartwright, Mr. Hollenbeck, Mr. Johansson, Mr. Pauly, and he's spread with steers to steal. You see, it's a pattern, and it never changes whether you're in Arizona, Nevada, Texas. They're quiet, decent ranch hands during the day, and they're thieves at night. Well, just think about it now. Who else knows the country, the herds, the back trails, even in the dark, but the very men that work them day in, day out? I tell you, there's nothing worse and more dirty than a man that'll steal from his employer. And I'm not gonna lose a minute's sleep over some fool that gets killed trying to draw on me. Any more questions?
No more questions.
Fine. Then I'll be getting on with the job you gentlemen are paying for. Okay?
Well, I've seen some nervy ones, but that alley's got 'em all beat.
Well, I've got to get over to the bank before I leave town, gentlemen.
Yeah, we are finished, aren't we, Ben? Mr. Chairman?
Well, there is one more thing. Mrs. Wells. I think someone ought to go see her. See if there's anything we can do for her. He worked for you, Arch.
Yeah, it's a thing I'll have to do. But I don't mind telling you, I sure don't look forward to it.
Well, I know her. Her father worked for me in the Ponderosa. If you like, I'll go along with you.
I'd be obliged, Ben. I'd be much obliged.
Fine.
I was wrong after all.
What?
Mr. Hollenbeck did come. Mr. Cartwright's with him.
Ben Cartwright?
Miss Wells, Lamar. Glad to see you.
We came to express our,
As well as Mr. Hollenbeck and I came by to see if there's anything we could do.
Do? Thank you, no, gentlemen. I don't think there is anything to do under the circumstances.
Mr. Cartwright, Prudence is going to come to live with me.
Fine idea, Lamar. Very fine. We're deeply sorry, Mrs. Wells.
You weren't sorry when you hired the range detective. Why be sorry now?
Prudence, hush.
I won't, Papa. That's the way I feel. Nobody's sorry except you and me. The cattlemen are getting what they want and hiring strangers to kill anyone they want.
Mrs. Wells. Harlan was rustling. There was a hot running iron in his hand.
And that's good enough reason to hire a gunman from somewhere and murder him.
Oh, Mrs. Wells. Mrs. Wells says, well, I'm sure you didn't know anything about it. But there was a pretty large organization. And they were rustling hundreds of heads of cattle.
Mr. Cartwright, I did not know about the organization, but I did about Harlan. He took that steer. I'm sure of it. And last October, when things were so bad for everyone, he took one then too and sold it. I don't know where, but he sold it. He was going to sell the one he took last week, too. How much a steer now, Mr. Cartwright? $14? $16, Mr. Hollenbeck? Yes, he was wrong. I admit it. He should have been sent to jail. With shame, I admit it. But did you have to hire someone to shoot him from 10 feet away? How do you pay your Marcus Alley, Mr. Cartwright? By the dollar value of the beef? 2 steers, $30? How do you pay your Mr. Alley? In silver?
Me a real big time tonight. I'm gonna get all sheared and shaved and a new pair of pants and a clean shirt. And I'm gonna buy me a great big white Stetson like Hoss wears.
Well, it sounds like you've been saving up.
You know, I never had it this fine before. I mean, hunting varmints for you guys, and the cattlemen give me a bounty on every cougar pelt I bring in. Then they still leave me the first to sell.
Joe, fellow that rich ought to have to buy the drinks.
Hoss, I think you're absolutely right.
I'll tell you what I'll do. As soon as I deposit these over at Mr. Simpson's, I'll come back and do that.
Good enough.
Well. Josiah Heath. Mr. Alley. How long has it been? Quite a spell.
4 years. 4 years and better. You weren't carrying pelts last time I saw you. But there was an animal around, if I remember. Josiah Heath, and now you're trapping.
I work for the Cartwrights.
That's nice. Nice as apple pie. You know we got unfinished business. I expect I'll be seeing you. Come to think of it, I'm sure I'm going to be seeing you one last time.
What was that all about?
You heard him. I'm a dead man. Allie caught us cold. Me and the 2 Tazewell boys that lived in that hard scrabble place right next to ours.
Running irons, changing brands?
No. No running irons. No fire. Hard times in Texas then. It was the early spring of the big blizzard winter of '64. We'd lost every head we owned. So did Tazewells. For 3 months, we lived on shadow soup and rabbit track stew. And we happened on this little stray belly deep in the bog. We got a rope around it and pulled the little critter out. Little thing could scarcely stand. It sure to died if we hadn't happened along. But now, that don't change the truth. We were stealing beef that didn't belong to us. And Allie caught us.
You tell him you pulled the steer out of the bog, that you were hungry?
Yeah, we told him. But like I said, the why of it didn't matter, leastways not to him.
What'd he do?
He told how he hated rustlers, scum. Oh, worse than scum, not fit to breathe the air or walk the face of the earth.
And all this time he was holding a gun on you, right?
Yeah, while he was talking. And then he put the pistol back in his holster, and he stood there grinning, daring us to draw.
What, 3 of you, and he wanted you to draw on it?
Well, 3 to 1's pretty big odds, but not when gunfighting's your business. And the 3 are scared.
But you got away.
Benji Tazwell drew on him first, and then Hack. And Allie gunned him down. But he took a bullet in the leg, and I got away.
Well, that was in Texas and a long time ago.
Yeah, 4 years. 3.5 I've been working for you all. I ain't ever been in any trouble since. That don't make too much difference to Mr. Alley. One that he hates worse than a rustler is the one that got away.
Here comes Allie now with Hollenbeck and Allison.
I don't think that man's ever gonna rest while I'm still alive.
Crooked shoe, worn thin, half-moon chunk out of it. Now, most people ask permission before they start fooling around with another man's horse.
Why, you're bristling like a porcupine, Mr. Cartwright. You've been talking to your wrestler.
Either tell us what you want or move on.
There ain't a man alive who'll believe an employee will steal from him. Makes him look too much like a fool. They fight it every time.
I think my little brother's right. You better mount up and ride.
What's going on?
I'm just trying to do my job, Mr. Cartwright. Your boys are kind of getting in the way.
Look, Pa, all I wanted Allie to do was tell me what he wanted. He wouldn't do it.
Joseph!
He was out hunting evidence.
He asked us to come along as witnesses.
Well, I've been looking for a horse wearing a crooked shoe with a half-moon piece out of it. See, the first time I saw the track was up by the ashes of a rustler's fire, up on the high meadow near Twin Peaks. The second time I saw the track was today, right in this street.
Mr. Cartwright, it's my horse.
I figured that once I find the horse, I'm going to find the rustler. That's exactly what I did.
I was up at Twin Peaks a couple of weeks ago when I got that cougar, remember?
You see, someone moved 10 or 12 steers across that high meadow, left one of them with a broken leg in rocks. The kind of thing happens when you're drifting cattle in the dark. The steer had a bar V mark on it. That's Mr. Allison's mark. Somebody taken a running iron to it, changed it into a box W.
Not me.
Box W is Texas brand. It's easy to sell in Arizona.
Heath hunts varmint for us. He got that cougar at Twin Peaks.
I'm sure he said he did, but you see, hunting...
That, crooked shoe. That the only evidence you've got?
That's right, Mr. Cartwright. But I'm going to find some more. You've got a rustler on your payroll. He got away with it in Texas, but he ain't gonna get away with it here.
Well, you
4 years without any trouble. Apparently, the Texas authorities think that you've squared the mistake you made, too.
Yeah, well, Marcus Alley sure doesn't.
Now, Tom?
Mr. Cartwright, here's that lumber list.
Oh, yeah. Tom, could you use another man on that crew building that bunkhouse addition?
I sure could, Mr. Cartwright.
From now on, you're on his crew, starting right now.
Well, look, Mr. Cartwright, I want to thank you, but no.
What do you mean, no? Don't you know better than to argue with the fellow who's paying you wages?
I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to keep me around close, out of Mr. Alley's way, but a man just can't hide out and feel much like a man.
Heath, I don't want you around any cattle, not even ours.
All right. But it won't do any good. The way Mr. Alley feels about me, he'll find some excuse to come out here.
Now, look, you said the Alley doesn't kill unless he's alone. There's 7 men on that bunkhouse crew. Stay close.
Yes, sir.
Marcus Alley's a killer. I say get rid of him.
How?
Pay him off. Send him down the road.
Joseph, he was hired by the board of directors of the Cattlemen's Association.
Paul, you're the president of it.
And chairman of the board. But I still have only 1 vote, and there are 6 others.
Well, at least we can keep him off the Ponderosa. That's one thing.
There are 5 ranches bordering the Ponderosa, Joseph. Russell cattle could be driven anywhere across it, even hidden somewhere on it. Closing the Ponderosa to Alley, that could do a lot of harm to a lot of people.
You're just not going to do anything about it? Is that what you're saying?
Well, before I can try to change the board's mind about its decision, I have to be able to prove it was wrong. And at this moment, I don't know it was. When in doubt, ask questions.
Who's going to answer them?
The cattlemen down in Texas who hired him to stop the rustling there.
Urgently request you telegraph collect immediately your opinion, Marcus Alley, and the work he did in your area. Method used and results obtained. Ben Cartwright, Ponderosa Ranch, Virginia City. 60 cents for each 10 words.
I object to Ben Cartwright bringing Hoss to a closed meeting.
We don't have closed meetings. Read the Constitution.
Any member in good standing or guest of a member in good standing can attend any meeting as long as he doesn't create a disturbance.
All right. I don't have to like it.
Mr. Chairman, let's get on with the work. Do we fire Alley or do we keep him on the payroll?
Show of hands, I say keep him.
I'm for that.
Gentlemen, please. I believe discussion is in order. Every board member has a right to state his opinion.
Well, gentlemen, I ain't lost a cow since he come here. I say keep him and pay him a bonus to boot.
And I say he's a killer and worse than a hydrophobic dog. I say fire him. Fast.
Sure, that's because you had 2 rustlers on your payroll and you're afraid he'll find more.
You say they're rustlers. Never been proved in a court of law.
Gentlemen, please, both of you, sit down. This is a discussion, not a shouting match.
4 of us had a meeting of our own before this one started. We're for Alley. And talk ain't gonna change our minds. Now, you other 3 got anything to say? Say it and let's get this voting over with.
I had my say. I vote to fire him.
I have some telegrams here, which I'd like to...
We heard about them. Good way to stack the deck.
20 replies to my inquiries. 15 of them say that Mr. Alley did a good job. He stopped the rustling. 10 of them didn't like the way he did it. In 4 years, Mr. Alley brought 28 men to trial. He also shot and killed 10 men. There were no witnesses to any of the killings. In every instance, Mr. Alley was alone. He said the other man drew first. Gentlemen, the same thing is happening here. Mr. Alley was alone when Holland Wells was killed. Mr. Alley was alone when Lamar Forbes was killed.
They drew first. Since it's my hide you're trying to nail to the barn door, I think I better say something. Every man that I brought to trial was found guilty, except one, and his uncle was one of the best lawyers in Texas. That's 27 out of 28 men. I guess that proves that I know my job. And as for there being no witnesses to the killings, I'm afraid that Mr. Cartwright is just plain wrong. He's got one working on his ranch. What is it that Heath said about when I caught him and the Tazewells? Were they guilty? Were they innocent?
Gentlemen, I was quoting the messages I got by telegraph. And this one that Joe brought in is a further confirmation.
Guilty or innocent?
Heath told Hoss and Joe what happened. I got it secondhand.
Well, they roped us a little steer out of a bog. They were hungry, and...
Was it their steer or was it someone else's steer?
Well, it was somebody else's, but...
They stole it. They were rustlers.
We're talking about 1 mangy steer and 3 hungry men.
1 steer, 100 steers. They were rustlers. I was the only man against 3 of them. Who drew first?
The Tazewells did, but you sort of squeezed them into it.
They drew first. I shot in self-defense.
You shot to kill. 10 times in Texas, twice here. 12 men.
12 criminals, and they were trying to kill me. A man breaks the law, he's got to expect to pay for it.
With his life? The law says 1 to 14 years for stealing cattle.
1 to 14 years. Now, that sounds pretty good. But if Wells or Forbes or any of the others had let me bring him in, why, people would be crying salty tears over him before the sheriff could lock the cell. And the men that they stole from would be saying that they shouldn't get hit too hard for making one mistake. They only get a year in prison, and other rustlers come drifting in because, you see, a year isn't that much to risk. Those that are sent to prison, they'll come out and they do it all over again. It happens every time. But I'll say this, that the 12 men that drew against me, they stole their last cow.
And all 12 were guilty, right? How can you be sure?
I know, Mr. Cartwright. I always know.
Show of hands, Ben. Let's take a vote. 4 votes to keep him. Count them, Ben.
And 3 against. All right, so be it. You're still employed, Mr. Alley. But I must ask you to make every effort to bring in alive any wrestler you may find. Bring him in alive to stand trial.
Unless he tries to kill me first.
Alley, you have the confidence.
You're the best.
Should have let me kill him.
Come in.
Mr. Cartwright, he's gone.
Well, take it easy now. Take it easy. Gone where? When?
He left for White Creek Breaks about an hour ago. Yeah. He went down the west slope to Devil's Parlor. I tried to stop him, but he pulled a gun.
What's chewing at him?
Well, he's been trying to stay clear out of not wanting any trouble. But he figures the only way to save his life is to find those rustlers before Allie comes here for him.
Well, he's one of our best trackers. If anybody can find anything up in that wild country, he can.
He said he saw smoke over that way last week.
You better round up House and Joe and get my horse saddle.
Yes, sir.
been a long time coming. Well worth waiting for. Got away from me in Texas. Finding you up here is the best thing that could have happened. You led me right into the middle of it, like I knew you would.
Mr. Alley, I've never been in this camp before. I got here 2, maybe 3 minutes before you did.
You're all alike. You just can't stop stealing.
Mr. Alley, I heard somebody ride off just before I rode in.
You know, if I had $1 for every time I heard that lie, I could buy the Ponderosa.
It's true, sir.
It's a lie. Scum. Dirty the air you breathe, the ground you walk on. I'd like you to make you play.
No, sir, Mr. Alley. No, sir, I ain't gonna draw. You're gonna have to take me in.
4 years I've waited for this minute. I would like you to make your play.
You're gonna kill me anyhow, aren't you, Mr. Alley? Even if I don't draw. I'm not guilty. You're gonna kill me, aren't you?
You're guilty, Heath.
I ain't gonna draw.
You're a couple minutes too late.
He didn't even try for his gun. You just shot him in the back.
You murdered him.
I caught a rustler. Tried to get away, I had to shoot him. Running irons in the fire, stolen beef.
He found the camp and you followed him here.
I killed a rustler. He said he heard someone ride away when he came in, but it's the oldest lie there is.
I think it's the truth. And I think you're gonna hang.
Maybe you'd like to try me first. Go on, reach for it.
Joseph. Get the horses into cover. All but one. Hoss?
Yes, sir.
Get a blanket and lean to him.
Heath is your boss rustler. He learned his trade in Texas, went into business up here. The rustling's over. The rest of them will scatter when they see me bring his body into town.
Suppose Heath was telling the truth. Suppose somebody did ride out when they heard him coming. And that same somebody is going to be riding back in. And then we'll have ourselves a real live prisoner. And maybe we can get to the straight of this. Now, Joe, you just do everything the way we figured it out. Don't try to be a hero.
Right.
All right, now turn over. Keep a sharp lookout.
He was a rustler. You ought to be glad he's dead.
He was a human being, a man just like anybody else.
Scum, just like all the rest of them. Dirty, filthy murderers. You gotta stamp them out when you find them. Or they'll drive every decent man and woman clear out of the country. Burning, killing, stealing. It's a gospel truth. I know. I've seen it happen.
They shot my pa, dragged my mom and my sis out of the house, burned the house to the ground.
How old were you when this happened?
I was 13, going on 14. If I had a gun, I'd have shot every one of them. But you see, that's the point. I didn't have a gun. They gotta be killed, Mr. Cartwright. You think about it like I've thought about it. You see I'm right.
Hey, Paul. Paul.
You can't pat them on the head and lock them up for a little while and let them loose to do it again. They gotta pay for what they've done. Come on. Come on, Ellie.
You drunken bum. You were supposed to have moved those steers 2 hours ago. You haven't even changed the brands yet. I pay you all this money, and what do? You drink yourself stupid.
Don't move. Don't reach for it.
What is this, Joe? You got no cause to hold a gun on me, Joe.
Looks like we got the big one, Pa.
You must be joking.
He thought I was his foreman, Porter. Started chewing me out for not changing the brands on the cattle.
I don't know anything about this camp.
Come on, Beck. Don't try to lie. Sheriff Coffey will find Porter, and he'll talk to save his hide. And he'll name all the others, and they'll name you.
End of the line, huh?
You ought to be proud of yourself. A cattleman stealing from other cattlemen.
Spare me the sermons, boy. You too, Cartwright. You don't even know what it's like to lie awake nights worrying about past due bills and loans. I enjoyed stealing your beef, Cartwright. Kind of made up for what was happening to me.
You ain't even sorry.
One question. Josiah Heath. Was he one of your men?
Cartwright, I'm not completely stupid. I knew that Heath was the one man I didn't even dare approach. He'd have told you before I was out of sight. Could have used Heath, too. If he'd been with me, he could have stolen you blind, and you'd never have caught us.
You ain't even sorry. As soon as they let you out, you'll do it all over again. The killing and the burning and the stealing. I ain't gonna let it happen.
I'm unarmed, and he was gonna murder me.
Kill him! It's the only way to stamp him out. Killing him, don't you see? Kill him!
Killing creates more problems. You've created enough of them. You're going to trial for murder.